Stand by, we're checking. 7037, if you receive any trawler calls in the vicinity of 4th Ave and Olympic City, please notify. Rampart 80, possible between 11 suspects, Alexandria and Beverly. Beverly and Alexandria, see the juvenile detained, but advised. Being followed by a blue Mitsubishi and on license plate.
2 cops, copy, log on.
All right, we good? Can we start this?
We can do whatever you want.
To work tonight, unfortunately.
Is that what you call what you do?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
It's like work hard for like one rec, play hard for the rest of the night.
You could just like work hard for 1 hour and get, everything you need done, and then you can relax the rest of the night. Especially your overtime gigs.
Oh yeah, for sure. One rec's like 15 minutes, so you work hard for 15 minutes, and you're good to go.
I spent 3 hours on the last rec I was on.
It must have been a rollover.
Yep.
You guys close the roads? Yeah,
Yep.
but then even then, like you don't do anything. You just sit there.
I stood there and looked real good.
All right, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna mute Fuzz. Okay, welcome to episode 11, Community-Oriented Policing, COP, Community Policing, Community Relations with Police, whatever we're gonna end up titling it as. I don't know. We're gonna go into basically community outreach and what community policing means. Fuzz, what does community policing mean? Did you ever look that up? Wait, hold on. Did you ever look up the policy for commandeering stuff?
No, I didn't.
I never found it.
Dang it. Is there not a policy on it?
No.
I'm going to make one.
I was going to say I searched it. There's nothing in there that I could find.
That policy is going to have my name written under it. Do not do this because of the cost of repulsive.
Don't leave your bike behind and steal a Jaguar to get in a vehicle pursuit. Holy cow.
Okay, all right. Episode 11, community policing. We're going to talk about basically what we know community policing as, and the reason for this is Fuzz over here is actually changing his schedule, and he's actually going to the community policing squad, which is, we've made fun of them in the past a little bit. They're the guys that work like Monday through Thursday, like 6:30. They show up at 6:30 and they are supposed to leave at 4, but they're probably gone at like 3:30ish. They have a lot of different programs that they do, which are pretty good throughout the community. We're going to talk about them. But Fuzz, are you excited for this change or what?
Well, my name is tied to the community policing squad's roster. However, I'll be doing other tasks.
Oh, so I'm confused. Do you not like community policing, or you scared to embarrassed to identify with them?
I didn't say I don't like community policing. I'm just saying that's the squad I'm on, but I have other tasks.
And what does your job description entail?
What is this, an interview?
Your second interview. This is your second interview.
The people like to get to know you.
What's up with the oral boards lately on these things?
Oh,
You're like, I already did my oral board.
He didn't even have an oral board. VLT was
what was the question?
Buzz? Yeah. What exactly is your job description, since you're attached to the community policing squad, but you don't have the same tasks? What are your tasks that you have?
I'm part of the Area Command Intelligence Office. So we just basically pull together crime stats.
Sounds fancy that way.
Did you not know what that means?
No, I didn't know what ACIO meant. Area Command Intelligence Office. That does sound fancy.
It sounds fancy when you put it that way.
Yeah, it's totally doesn't
Are you sure you're not a subsection of Taz now?
Exactly.
I wish.
People are over here thinking that he's going to be in a plain car, plain clothes, doing surveillance on somebody. No, he's just going to sit at his computer in an office all day and do stats.
Yep, that's all I do. Pull together crime stats, make the captain happy.
Yep.
And the lieutenant.
They make squads who don't do anything look bad.
But I am attached to the COP squad, so whenever they do, like Santa Cops, we'll go out and do with that, or like.
Isn't it like Shop with a Cop? It's not Santa Cops, is it?
I don't know. We'll get to it when we get there.
Yeah. I thought it was Santa Cops. Maybe it is Shop with a Cop. I don't know. But anyway, whenever they do that kind of thing, I do go out and I do participate in the community outreach, but my day-to-day job is numbers. All
right. Well, make sure you don't count Roxas's parking tickets towards the total numbers.
He'll never know. But he will know because he'll look at the street address and I'm like, haha, all 6 of these are voided.
Void. I have a story about that, but that's not for the podcast. We'll talk about that later. Voiding other people's tickets.
Ooh.
All right.
I heard about that. That's a good story.
Ooh.
Write that down.
I
don't know. Is it the same story, though?
Is it the one I heard about when we went to do the motorcade?
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. We'll fill you in, Roxas.
Okay.
It's too political to talk about, but it's pretty good. Fuzz, what news story do you have today?
This one's out of Renton, Washington. Renton officers got the patrol vehicle stolen while stopping to question a man they thought was a potential car thief suspect. This one's a little confusing. I don't know. I don't completely understand how it happened, but we'll talk about it later. Officers spotted the man at a local car dealership around 1:30 p.m. They parked nearby and got out of their patrol vehicle to talk to the man, but he declined and walked away. So it sounds like a consensual encounter. However, this guy was a suspect, apparently. As the officers were heading back to their cars, a passerby called 911 to report the same man had reached through an open window of one of their patrol vehicles, unlocked the door, and drove away. Police noted the vehicle had been locked and running. Seattle police found the stolen patrol car about 30 minutes later near Pioneer Square. They arrested the man a couple blocks away on suspicion of felony theft. The vehicle wasn't damaged during the incident. No injuries were reported. No further information was available. So the article made it sound like they stopped to question a man they thought was a potential car theft suspect. So it kind of sounds like they had RS, but I guess they didn't. They just went consensual on them, I guess.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like those of us that are cops want to know more of the situation.
Yeah.
I want to know how he got past them to get back to their vehicles.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Like how many cars were there? Like was it like that's one of those things where there were 2 cars there and they were BSing by somebody else's car and he snuck up behind him and took the car?
That's never happened before.
A lot of options here.
But we did have a time when a patrol car got stolen. Roxas and I were on a person stop, I think it was.
Yeah.
And this cop car comes hauling ass down the road, and I'm like, where the crap is that cop going driving like a maniac? And he only had the 1s on, he didn't have the 2s on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what the crap? And then dispatch broadcast, oh, by the way, there's a stolen cop car last seen this direction. We're tracking it. And we're like, oh, well, that's it.
That's it.
And then another patrol car, not stolen, comes hauling ass behind it. And we just kind of joined in, and there was an Explorer and a ride-along in that car. So the car got boxed in at a red light with all these, there was a lot of civilian traffic around. So it kind of got boxed in. Patrol car A, one, was kind of right behind the stolen patrol car, but a little to the right. So that officer gets out, confronts the suspect. The Explorer gets out of the passenger seat because I ran around to the passenger side of patrol car 1 so I get a better line of sight to inside the cab with cover. And the Explorer starts walking up to the stolen patrol car. I'm like, what the crap?
Just so gonna look in.
So I grab him by the belt and I pull him back. And then we go around and we take the guy into custody and stuff. But it was funny because I talked to the Explorer afterwards. I was like, yeah, you're walking up to the stolen patrol car. He's like, oh, I didn't realize that was the stolen car. I just saw cop car and thought good. Yeah. So he's trying to get to cover behind the cop car.
Simple. Cop car good.
Yeah.
Explorer 1, copy a log on.
Yeah, one Explorer 1. Jeez. We have so many stories about him too. I don't know if it's just because he's always there, like every freaking.
He was.
Friday
How many times did he ride along with us?
Oh man, he literally rode a whole weekend one time.
Yeah,
Like
he was on the squad
Saturday,
roster.
Saturday. It's like, hey, if he's gonna be here, does that mean we can take more time off because there's more people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Roxas, how was your week? You got any good stories for us?
This week was boring, but last week was a little more interesting. We actually made a gangster cry. You guys ever do that?
Aren't they always crying? Oh, that's them trying to talk crap. I'm sorry.
No, that's when the handcuffs gone.
Sounds like whining.
That's different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy wasn't in custody for anything. We were just talking to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm super interested now.
So I had a partner this day, graveyard and their lack of cars. Everyone kind of had to team up. Well, I had a partner, and a call comes out. It's a 911 disconnect. So the call comes out where they hear not a struggle in the background, but they just hear like a phone maybe in a pocket, like rustling. And then all of a sudden they hear a guy saying, "Leave me alone," several times. And then the phone finally hangs up. They ping the phone. They find out, the apartment. They look up the phone number, everything. So we find out that the phone number comes back to, previous people who we've talked to. So we know what apartment to go to. We know the names of everybody in there. So we go up and we knock on the door. Female half answers, and she doesn't seem distressed or anything like that. She's like, "Come on in. He called you." So she already knew that we were on the way. So we walk inside, and she's real cooperative. She goes and sits down on the couch, and she's like, "He's in the bedroom." I'm like, all right. So we go to talk with him, and he's locked in the bedroom, and he won't talk to us. So we're like trying to explain to him, "Hey, we just got a call. We're here to talk to you. You're the one on the phone that said leave me alone. We just need to make sure that you're okay." Well, he keeps MFing us up and down, telling us to leave, get out of his house, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, all right, cool. We walk back out, talk to her. We're just kind of confirming that nobody hit anybody, nothing along those lines goes on. Well, during that time, we're talking to him through the door, coaxing him and using some verbal judo to get him out. And we'll leave it at that with verbal judo. So eventually he's had enough, and he comes out and he storms out in the living room, and he looks like he's ready to fight. He's got his hands all balled up next to him, comes out with the look on his face like he's ready to rumble in the living room. Well, come to find out, he comes out just mad, angry, talking about all the political stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. So my partner that day is very big into the news and stats and like politics and everything like that. So he ends up spitting back at him stats and facts and statistics of, what's really going on out in the world. And it completely shuts down this guy. Like he completely stops talking. He's standing there. His fists are still completely balled up. Like he has not released his fists at all. Still looks like he wants to fight us. But during all these facts and telling him that we were actually there to help him and make sure that everything was okay and that we're not the bad guys, he starts crying. Like you can see like his eyes water up. And then next thing you know, you see the tears streaming down his face. Like he's angry, but he's like feeling what we're talking. We're telling him all about this stuff. So he starts crying. We tell him that we're there to check on him. He realizes that, we're actually there. We care about him. So once he lets his guard down and relaxes, we talk to him about, what was going on, that they had some problems. Him and her were arguing. And we come down to the problems that it's their communication. We advise them that they probably need counseling because it did seem like they do love each other. They want to try and keep their relationship going, but they have a hard time talking to each other without letting their emotions get in the way. So they pretty much need a referee whenever they have a conversation. So he walks outside with us just to get away. He's like, I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna cool down. We get him some resource cards, so he's got some information. And he came down, he was telling us, it's one of those things that, I was raised to hate the cops. He's like, I don't hate you guys. I love you guys for talking to me. You guys are the coolest 2 cops I've ever talked to. And he just went on, and it just shows that just talking to people in the right way can change things. But everyone we talk to has feelings of some sort, whether they want to portray themselves as a hard gangster or You know, it's just someone who just needs to act tough for their family. You know, that everyone breaks down. So so that's how we made a gangster cry, just by listening.
He was feeling moved.
He was moved, that's for sure.
He was moved by the Holy Spirit of Bonner. No, it's true though. Like, I honestly haven't had a bad interaction since all of this stuff started with anybody, really.
No.
And most of it's the way you talk to people, like 100%.
Well, then a lot of us are people. Like, we're good at talking to people.
Yeah, I feel like the experiences I've seen with it, it's because the individual that pisses them off has an ego.
Yeah.
Like, it's plain and simple. They try to pull that like authority card or whatnot, and nobody, including us, acts well to like pride or authority or being told you're wrong. I mean, like, even if somebody comes up to us and they're like, oh, like, do this, you're like, don't tell me how to do my job.
Yeah.
It's the way human interaction works, and so we can't expect people to not be mad when we act that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of goes right into our topic, though, because that's what community policing basically is. Like, yes, there is all these outreach programs that we're going to talk about and we're going to really dive into. Anytime we're doing anything in uniform, that is an interaction of community policing.
Yes.
What are some of the outreach programs that community policing has, Fuzz?
But you didn't tell your story.
Oh, I didn't. Oh,
yeah.
awkward.
What's this DUI gets knocked out? What's this all about?
Fill us in.
Okay. All
I
right.
wasn't ready anyway.
I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready either, apparently. I forgot because we moved it all around and mixed it up. I got confused. So I deal with mainly DUIs, obviously. DUIs and car accidents are like my main thing, being in traffic, and I'm okay with that. I get to have my fun when I want it, and like we talked about last week, like, I get to show up on something and then leave immediately if I don't like it, or I don't have to do paperwork most of the time, but DUIs are my job. If somebody calls me to do a DUI for them and they're already like halfway through, I'm probably not going to do it. But a lot of the times what we'll do is we'll ride together as two traffic units, and one person will take the DUI and one person will take the car accident portion of it. Well, me and my partner show up on this DUI, and the individual basically tried to cross the street into his apartment complex, hit a car, and then tried to like park his car in the apartments and get out and leave. And when we show up, both the cars are there, and we're like, okay, we're trying to figure out who's involved because there's a bunch of people. And we're like, okay, is he the driver? Like, has he been drinking, whatnot? And they're like, oh no, the driver's over there. Like, he's passed out in the grass. And I'm thinking, okay, like, you know, he's been drinking, he's drunk, so he laid down and he passed out, you know, after his car accident because he's so stressed. And so I walk over there, and I'm talking to people on the way, trying to figure out, okay, what the heck's happening? Who is with him? There's this female over here freaking out, and there's this dude laying on the ground with like a bunch of stuff around him. And I walk over there and I shine my light on him, like, hey, Metro Police, like, wake up, blah, blah. And he has like a huge, like, bloody black eye, like fresh, just happened, like immediately swelled up. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I was like, hey, like, what happened? Is that from the car accident? Like, do you need medical attention? And he's like, oh no, like somebody hit me. And I'm like, what the freak? So I talked to him a little bit. I'm like, hey, do you want to press charges? Like all this other stuff, like the crap that we have to do and get out of the way. And he's like, no. And of course he's drunk. So he's like thinking, okay, I don't want any attention. If I pretend like nothing happened, nothing will happen to me. And I go over and talk to security. And security's like, well, like, I mean, he was trying to leave. And so the boyfriend of the driver of this car that he hit walked over, told him, and he couldn't leave. And he kept trying to leave. So he just punched him and knocked him out.
Well,
and I
he's
was
staying
like,
now.
What? Yeah, I was like, he's like, well, I told you he was knocked out on the grass. And I was like, bro, I didn't know you meant like you knocked him out.
You Superman punched him.
Yeah. So I guess like it was actually like 4 or 5 people, and he like tried to fight them, and obviously there was more of them. But he didn't want to press charges, and they were reasonable about it. Like as soon as he got knocked out, they're like, "All right," and they just left him. Basically, they didn't like kick him while he was on the ground, crap like that.
You mean you can
But
knock
it's just,
someone out and you don't have to kick them 100 times while they're passed out?
yeah, you don't have to
Oh,
like try to prove your worthiness as a man by kicking them while they're already knocked out. But it just there's a lot of things like that. A lot of the times with DUIs, they'll try to run or they'll try to take off, and you get like a hit and run, and it sucks. And then it sucks for the person that got hit because with the hit and run, then you're kind of like, oh crap, there's no information. And if we don't have any information, like I'll still take a report for you, but there's not a lot to go off of, and detectives are gonna close it out anyways because if there's nothing to go off of, there's nothing to go off of. But I had an experience last night, I guess, which I'm a little bit bummed about because I've always wanted something similar to this, but I showed up to help. Well, I showed up to help somebody from my prior squad. How about that? Somebody I like used to work with, I'm friends with him. I know his call sign, and so the call came out. I started heading that way, and then he assigned himself. So I was like, all right, like I'll still stop by and see if he needs help or hang out, whatever he needs. So I roll up, and he has this dude in handcuffs and a female sitting on the sidewalk. And this is the really funny part. So I walk up, and he's like, "Hey, watch him for a second." He like runs to the back of the car. I'm like, "What the heck? Like, I don't even know what's happening. I just got here." And he like looks at me and he's like, "I just got out of city jail." And so then I looked down at his belt, and he has like nothing on his belt because he forgot to put it on when he left. So he's like, "Yeah, I went out on him and I like tried to grab my gun." And he's like, "Oh
Oh
crap."
my god.
I was like, "Yeah," I got back in the car and like kept driving. I'd be like, "Never mind, I'm out. See ya." So he has this dude in handcuffs, and this dude keeps trying to talk to his girlfriend in Spanish. Well, we're trying to investigate the two of them, right? So we're trying not to have them argue. We're trying not to have them talk, trying to keep them separated. So I'm like, all right, dude, like, I'm just going to put them in the back of the car so they're not going to talk. Like, are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah. And so I walk back around to the front of the car. And as soon as he sees me, like, walking to the front, he just takes off running. Now, mind you, he's in handcuffs. I'm in motorcycle boots. I ain't running. Like, I'll be honest with you. So I look at Jimenez and I'm like, oh, he's running.
yeah.
And I just keep following him.
Better go get him.
And my radio traffic is like I say my call sign, I'm like, foot pursuit. And then I give his description out, like, this guy wearing this, puffy hair. And she's like, is this related to the call you're on? I was like, yeah, that's a firm. He's just running down the sidewalk in handcuffs. And she's like, okay. And I'm just walking behind him. And then we get to the corner, and then I'm like, yeah, he's just running down the sidewalk on Pecos now. No big deal. And I can hear the lights and sirens coming. Well, he goes into this. So it goes down, it's a brick wall, and then it goes to the freeway. And there's a 12-foot fence by the freeway, right? And so I pie that corner, and he's gone. I'm like, there's no way he got over this wall. So on the radio, I was like, he jumped the wall? Like, confused, because he's in handcuffs. He's not going to jump a 6-foot wall, right? Well, then I look and I see there's a hole in the fence. I was like, oh, okay. So I go through the hole in the fence, and so now he's in between this trailer park and the freeway, and there's like maybe a 4-foot fence into the trailer park. So up to his waist, right? Like he could get over it if he really wanted to, but then on the other side is like a 12-foot drop. So I walk up there, and he like pops up out of this little bush and like hobbles over to the little fence, and he's hitting the fence against like his stomach, trying to jump over it.
Oh no.
And I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, are you really gonna try jumping that in handcuffs and falling? Like, you're gonna hurt yourself. As I'm walking up to him, and he straddles it, and then tries to get his other leg over, and he gets stuck. And I was like, here, bro, like, I'll just hold you here so you don't fall. Like, I got your back. Don't
I'm just
worry.
gonna hold you here.
So I just held him by the shirt and until the other units got there. And I was like, man, dedication, dude. Like, I'll give it to you. And he's like so pissed off at me. He freaking hates me for some reason. And then all the cop cars are running lights and sirens, right? And so I tell him, I was like, I'm behind this trailer park next to the 95, like off the freeway, in between the freeway and the trailer park. and they're all just rolling code, and they're rolling code past me. And so I get back on the radio. I was like, hey, I know you guys like rolling code, but if you'd slow down a little bit, you'd actually see me as you drive past.
Ooh.
And then still do nothing. Like, no, like, then like 3 more cop cars go past, and I was like, hey, you know that big freeway that you drive under, the 95? Yeah, stop there. And finally somebody sees me, and they're like, oh, well, we thought you were on the other side. I was like, well, if you guys would listen to your stupid radio. Like, I mean, it's funny how something exciting happens and you guys forget everything you were taught or learned, but that's DTAC for you.
Yeah.
So what do you expect?
Yeah.
But it was a fun night. I was a little bit disappointed because I looked back at my motorcycle and I was like, I should go get on it. But I was further away from my motorcycle than I was like the street corner because it was like 2 cars back, right? Or a car back or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'll just keep following him. But I really want to chase somebody on my motorcycle while they're on foot. I haven't got to do that
Just
yet.
ride next to him and yell at him.
Yeah. Just hit the air horn and the sirens. Those things are loud.
You should just sit down. It's much better for you.
I don't know why. I don't know what he was thinking. I asked him, I was like, dude, where did you think you were going to go in handcuffs? Like, first of all, that intersection or that area is brick wall and freeway. That's all it is. There's no... It's not like there's apartments. It's literally open field, the jail, brick wall, freeway. That's all there is there. And if he wouldn't have ran, he wouldn't have gotten in trouble because it was really nothing. It was somebody else called in, said they were arguing, and then the female was like, yeah, well, we were arguing, but, you know, people fight. Like, we were just arguing. Nothing else happened.
It's always
And
like
then he ran
that.
off.
It's always like that. It's like the people that aren't involved, that really don't have anything to do with it, but like, hey, we're just going to stop you and ask you what's going on just to make sure that we have everyone that's involved. And they're the ones that run. Like, bro, you had nothing to do with this. All you had to do is tell me, yeah, I didn't have anything to do with this. Cool. Have a good day, sir. And instead they run.
Yeah, that's like when somebody on a car stop is the passenger they run, like last week's story. Like, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, dude, really? And, oh, you want to know the reason he ran? This is the best part. Because I offended him.
Oh.
That was his legitimate excuse, and I was like, "What? Wait, what?"
Your facial hair.
Oh, I'm
Me
sorry.
too.
I'm sorry I hurt your feelings because you're in custody. Like, I don't know what to tell you. All right, Fuzz, our local community-oriented policing expert. Let's talk about community policing, shall we?
Shall we?
Okay.
Okay.
Are you cracking your neck preparing for this?
Yeah.
Stretching his fingers, get his keyboard ready to get those stats down.
So part of what community policing is the community and the police department coming together to try and solve community problems, so that basically the community takes a role in solving and preventing crime, right? So our department we have several programs. I only listed a few here. Like, First Tuesday is a really common one. So the first Tuesday of every month, the area command puts together like a presentation for its community, and the community comes, they present it, and then they kind of have an open forum where community members and leadership for that area command can kind of talk about problem things in the area, right? Another program we have is like Santa Cops, where officers will take kids shopping for Christmas. Another big one that they do a lot of is Citizens Academy. So that's kind of where citizens go through like this mini police academy. I don't really want to call it a police academy, but this mini kind of academy to understand kind of what an officer's role is during calls for service and all that kind of stuff.
What we're doing when they see us out there.
Right. Another one is the Hispanic Citizens Academy. So we have a very heavy Hispanic population here in Southern Nevada. And so they have their own separate academy, and that's where, like, it's all in Spanish. So if a community member is more comfortable speaking in Spanish, they can do this Hispanic Citizens Academy, and it's all in Spanish, and they have Hispanic officers that speak Spanish and do all the classes and that kind of thing. Every 15 minutes. That's a high school program where they go out and they simulate a car accident where the involved party, or the what's it called, the at fault driver, is drunk driving. And so it's kind of like a show. So I got to participate in this when I was in high school, where they bring in cars, they close down a road, they bring in cars, they set up an accident. The school is kind of they set up portable bleachers. The school is watching as basically someone calls, right? Because they have speakers set up. So you hear the 911 call, and then you see the first arriving like tom unit or patrol unit. They come out and they start their investigation. Medical and fire rolls up, and it goes so far in depth to the point where they get Mercy Air involved, and like Mercy Air comes in and takes one of the patients to the hospital and stuff. So basically it's just to bring awareness. That program's more about bringing awareness to high school students about the dangers of drinking and driving. So that was really cool. I got to participate in that one when I was in high school. Tips is another one. So tips is like if there's a traumatic event, like a death in the family. So you come home and you find grandma or grandpa passed away. Officers obviously have to come out and do their investigation, make sure it's not suspicious or anything like that. Tips can come out while an officer is doing their investigation. Tips can talk to the family and provide resources to the family and stuff like that. So those are just some of the community outreach programs. I don't know if you guys have any experience with those on your own or while you're at work.
The first Tuesday one, I helped out with that one when I was in Northwest. That was actually a good one because it's one of those things like where it's normal people that are in the community come in and they ask questions that they don't know like the answer to. It's like a question that we probably think is a small thing, but it's because they don't know.
Right.
So they get to come in and ask these questions without being belittled or whatever. They have problems in their neighborhood. They're like, hey, we all kind of live in the same area. This house seems to be a problem. What can we do, to get it taken care of? It's kind of nice because you get to talk to the people face to face rather than you going door to door. I'm like, hey, you got any problems in your neighborhood? You just bring it all together.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it's cool because it's those ones that actually it's the ones that participate in that are the ones that actually want to see a difference in the community. So
yeah,
it's really cool.
Well, and it's by.
Do you have any?
It's by individual areas as well, right? Like we do.
Yeah.
Everybody does first Tuesday. I mean, I guess it would all be on a first Tuesday, but they're specific to those areas that those people live in, and it gives them the opportunity to seek out help or learn, like if they do have, like Roxa said, if they have questions. And so that's kind of cool because it's open to everybody, it's open to the public, but there's usually a topic as well. I kind of think of it as like almost a town board meeting, which I don't know if you guys do that in big cities, but like town board meetings here are smaller. They're open to the public. You can go and you can talk about issues or talk about the topics that they have. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
But it gives you the opportunity, if there is a topic, to go and voice your opinion of that topic. So if we think that if we say something about like a DUI enforcement blitz in that area and we go to First Tuesday to talk about that, people can give us either tips or voice their concerns about it. It's just a good interactive area where everybody has the chance to participate.
Right. Those are just some of the community outreach programs our department has. I mean, we have several more.
And there's more on the way, too.
Yeah.
With the Citizens Academy, they don't go through scenarios and stuff, right? They just more so learn, like, the basics of policing, correct? But they do ride-alongs. They have to do ride-alongs, don't they?
As part of the Citizens Academy, I do know they do ride-alongs. As far as, like, use of force scenarios, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know a lot about it just because I've never participated or helped in it. So,
and is the Citizens Academy for anybody that wants to sign up, or do they have different? I feel like they had one for like people higher ups in the community, or like leaders, I guess. Did they have one specifically for them, or is it just for anybody who signs up?
I'm not 100% sure. I do know. So, like, if you get in a shooting, right, and you go through the whole use force review board who part of who's on the use force review board is citizens from the community. And I do know for our department, they have to go through the Citizens Academy before they can go onto the use force review board. So I don't know if their Citizens Academy would be slightly different than like the everyday one, or how that works.
And the Citizens Academy is like a commitment as well. It's like once
I think
a
it's
week
like a month
for
long.
it's like once a
Yeah.
week for like a whole month where you show up and have to go through it, and they have the specialized units come in and talk about what they do and things like that as
Yeah.
well. But Santa Cops is really fun. I got to do that a couple of different times where you get like a family of kids and siblings, and you go out and you shop with them, and it's all taken care of by the department or by the program. And they even bring like the helicopter in with Santa on it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
I got to be a part of it while I was still working at Target. So I got to be on the civilian side of it. It's kind of cool.
They put in a lot of work, like both the department and the stores and such. A lot of organization, a lot of work. Every 15 minutes, I've never seen one of those, but I've heard about them.
I've seen them.
But they're super realistic, aren't they? Like, don't they get like makeup artists?
Oh yeah, like some of the bigger
yeah.
schools, they
Yeah.
do some really cool stuff for them.
Like, and so, like I said, so the victims of the crash and the suspects are all like your peers, your student peers. And so when victim is part of this wreck and they get airlifted, like you're seeing them load them up and they're flying to the hospital, and then you don't get to see what happens at the hospital, but they're still doing stuff at the hospital because it's also kind of like an exercise for the hospital and the personnel. So they'll play a video like at the end of the thing, I guess, and it'll show like what happens at the hospital, and like it gets so in depth that like parents are involved, and you'll see like parents at the hospital. So you'll be like, oh my god, that's John. Oh my god, that's John's parents. Oh my god, they just pronounced John deceased. So it gets really, really in depth.
They have some of them on YouTube. Anyone can look them up because they'll show how much time they put into these. I mean, it's one of those things too. Is like you hit enough like heartstrings with just that one scenario, and it could change one person from making one stupid mistake.
Yeah, because like I said, you're seeing your friends and stuff involved in this. You're seeing Jimmy go to jail and for DUI and stuff. But yeah, so when I participated, I was one that they call them the Walking Dead. So basically, you're just kind of, they put makeup on you and all this stuff, but you're basically in the audience. You're not allowed to talk to anyone. You're just kind of there as like a ghost. And I remember when there was probably about 30 of us involved in this, students wise. And I remember when we got it was like 6 months out, we were made aware of this. And because we all were like gathered in this room and we're like, why the crap are we all here? Like, what the hell? And then they told us about it, and they're like, yeah, the reason we tell you this far out is because your parents have to write obituaries because they read off the obituaries, and you got to do all this stuff to like pre-plan. You're not supposed to tell the population, the student body and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's like a 2-day long scenario. It's really, really in depth.
Yeah, and they are all over YouTube.
Are you looking it up right now?
I did. I looked one up just to see if it was valid. If you just type in every 15 minutes program into YouTube, I don't know. I'm sure they do them everywhere, but I think the ones that came up were local. But I'm not sure. It'll come up for sure.
Yeah, you'll find them.
The only story I have about tips, I mean, I've used them a couple of times, but I had a DUI where he ran into a fireworks stand, and the guy that was running the fireworks stand was also the guy in charge of tips.
Oh, really?
And I was like, hey, I know you.
Really?
Yeah. It's the only thing I got for that.
The last call that I went to where I had tips respond, it was actually last week. So the people that show up for tips are just normal people, like normal civilians in the community. They're just dedicating their free time to come out and give information to families and stuff like that.
It's all volunteer, right?
Yeah, it's all volunteer. So it's just normal people who show up. Like I guess they get a phone call on a roster and they come out and they just provide info, and they're kind of like a crying shoulder for a lot of families. Well, the death that I was on was kind of expected. So, I mean, the family you could tell was upset, but they weren't sobbing uncontrollably. They didn't know like what to do, or they weren't like that where they didn't know what to do. They had everything ready to go, but we had called tips out anyways. So this tips person that shows up was kind of more sad than the family was. Like showing up, like she had so much more emotion for this death than the actual family, who was kind of prepared for it, knew it was coming, kind of thing. So, I mean, they're in it. Their feelings are in it. They're there for you.
What about none of the other things that aren't listed here? Like area commands will do back to school projects where they buy backpacks or supplies.
Oh yeah,
There's been a lot of with the Rona mischief going on. There's been a lot of like food pantries or delivering food to families and neighborhoods. There's a lot of other things that are just on a local individual squad level, even rather than big like planned events. Do we have any of that that you know of here? And what about the I guess the homeless outreach is different than COP, the community oriented policing. Is that different or does that fall under the same lines?
Well, downtown COP obviously has a big homeless kind of following outreach program, obviously, because a bulk of the homeless are in downtown. But there is the department-wide homeless outreach program, which covers the entire department. So I guess you'd say they're different. I mean, they're two different teams, but downtown COP doesn't handle just homeless. So that's important to note as well. People think that, but they don't.
I say it's, you almost just need their own dedicated spot just for that with downtown.
What about your interactions? A lot of the community-oriented policing can be done just at an individual officer level. We were kind of talking about that before we started recording and started the podcast as we we're going over the outline. Just our interactions with individuals, that can be a whole different form of community-oriented policing.
Oh yeah.
Like Rock's story, just talking to somebody or listening. What are you guys? What's your favorite way of going about that?
Well, I enjoy talking to people. Like that's just it. Like if someone wants to come up and have a conversation, if I have the time for it, and there's like nobody dying on the other side of the city, let's have a conversation. So I mean, that's pretty much it. If I've got the time, why not just talk with someone? Because it's great when you get done with a conversation with anybody, whether it's on good terms, like you had someone walk up to you and ask for, directions to a restaurant, or someone was asking for legal help, that it's something simple. Like it's always great when they leave the conversation with a different out, like, hey, you're a really cool person. I've never met a cop that was as cool as you, or something like that. Like that's a great feeling. It doesn't matter who you are. If they walk away and their smile, shaking your hand, really genuinely happy that they talked to a cop that was interested in what they were talking about, like it's always a great feeling. So I don't know why you wouldn't go a little bit out of your way just to make sure that someone says that when they walk away from you.
Yeah, and I think too, like whenever I work down in the Charlie 2 area, I always stop by that gas station that's right there, the Circle K. I like always walk in there and I say hi to the owner, and I talk to the owner for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and he loves it. So
that's actually a good point, because that used to be one of like the regular things that people did. So when they had assigned beats and assigned areas, they knew the businesses, they knew the owners.
Yeah,
and that was a good form of community interaction and policing.
Yeah.
I think for me being on motors, it's interesting to see how people treat you a little bit differently, whether it's because we're more approachable or they're not worried about us because they think we just do traffic. I'm not sure. Like, side note, we can still arrest you for anything. But people approach you more. Like, whether it's the boots and the motorcycle, people love to take pictures. They love to talk to you. They love to talk about the motorcycle. And that's kind of where most of my interaction probably comes from, especially on overtime, because I usually park my motorcycle right next to me and then stand there with it. And they love taking pictures. They love stickers, all sorts of stuff. Okay, well, I was working overtime at the Nike store, and I had a bunch of little stickers to give out to kids. And the way the store worked in the mall, it was like glass walls, but there was little gaps in them. So there'd be kids on the other side of the glass that I could see, and then I'd slide the stickers through the little gap in between the two walls. and like try to make them like jump to get it or like be really quick to get it. So these 3 kids are sitting out there, right? And I thought it was just 2 at first, but the one was sitting like playing on a phone or something like that around the other side of like the dad. And so I like saw him and I like pointed at him and the dad like got his attention or whatever. So instead of sticking it through the crack, I just put it up. He was younger. So I put it up against the glass, like thinking he'd try to grab it without knowing, like without thinking about the glass.
Yeah.
So he like looks at it, like turns his head, he like looks up at me, and then he literally walks into the store and grabs it from me. And I was like, yo, like that kid's
He's going places. He's like, fool me once.
yeah, I was like, that was the youngest one, but he's the smartest one. He's like, I haven't played this stupid game. Give me this stupid sticker. And he walked to the store and grabbed it from me.
That's great. He's like, we're not playing these games today. Yeah, it's funny. When I was working Bolden, which is one of those places where everyone goes to deal with some of like the worst problems in the city, like I gave out so many stickers, and not only to like little kids, but I had like high school kids. Hey, you guys got any stickers? Like constantly. I'd never gone through so many stickers before.
Yeah, so Mahar and I had a thing at a school on our day off. His girlfriend or someone was doing something at a school. It was like career day, if I remember correctly. So we brought a patrol car because at lunchtime the kids were going to play with the patrol car, and we brought like a thick stack of stickers because we knew everyone was going to want them. They were gone in like 5 minutes, dude. Like they were.
Can I get one
so
for my
fast.
brother, my cousin, my sister? It's like my dog needs one. All right, cool. Here's a stack for you. Here's a stack for you.
I like giving them to firefighters
on
calls.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna do that the next time.
Hey, you guys want a sticker?
Hey, I got something for you guys. Here you go. Just like hand them out, one to each of them.
Just
put it on their truck.
pat them on the back, like pat them on the back and put it on.
Good job. Good job.
Here you go.
I should make a magnet out of one of the stickers, or just get a magnet and put a sticker over it, and then put it on their fire truck, so it doesn't do any like sticker damage or anything like that. And they don't have to clean it off.
Would it be funny?
It
Like, who did this?
I'm doing it. I'm doing that. I'm gonna do that the next call.
Well, speaking of stickers, there's one like long gone thing that only some people know about, like with city jail. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It used to be this ongoing thing because everyone used to go to city jail. It wasn't just us. It was us, the marshals. We had North PD because they didn't have a jail. And on this piece of paper, in one of the little cubicles where you did your paperwork, there was a piece of paper where everyone would stick their sticker badge on top of the next one. And it was just this thing. Every time you'd go there, you'd peek around the corner to see who was on top. You'd see if Metro was still on top, or you'd see if North Vegas was still on top, or you see the marshals were still on top. And you'd slap one of your stickers on top of it. Well, now that North PD's gone, they've got their jail open up. The whole thing's gone. Like, it's not there anymore.
Yeah. They took their copier too.
They did. Yeah.
Wow.
We got room for more computers now, though.
I'm still not heard about the copier.
Oh my god, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. It's funny that they just took it though. They're like, nope, this is ours. We're taking it back.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kinda messed up. Like, you think like for the trouble that they went through for letting them use the jail, they'd at least give them some sort of something in return.
Heck no.
Nope. For
Budget cuts, man.
budget cuts.
Rona.
Besides the like outreach programs, what else does COP deal with?
So follow kind of similar to First Tuesday, they kind of hear about where the problem areas are, and they also hear that from patrol officers, like this address is a problem house, there's squatters in there, or these apartments are problem apartments, we're there all night, that kind of thing. And they go in and they follow up with management to try and remedy those issues. So let's say they have a problem with ABC apartments. There's a lot of thuggy thugs hanging around out there and causing problems, and their cops are there all night. COP can go in, they can do code enforcement, they can do, I don't even know all their tools they have available to them to just try and remedy the problem to make it a better place for people to live in that area. They'll do graffiti removal, which is kind of like they'll coordinate graffiti removal, but they'll also keep track of the graffiti so that they know kind of gang trends and that kind of thing as well. Those are just a couple things I can think off the top of my head, unless you guys have anything else.
Well, it's like they kind of have like their own phone book of all the numbers on the department. Like if they know a business is causing problems, they're going to call SIS. If they know there's a graffiti problem, they're probably going to call gangs. They kind of they have their book of numbers, and they know who to call for what problems to get things taken care of. Because we have so many different places in the department, and everyone specializes in something different. But I don't know if you guys knew about that, but the city has graffiti removal. Like if you call the number and let them know, like, hey, this was tagged, they'll come down, and they're pretty quick about it.
Yeah, they do the. So the city they do that, and then they also have like a thing on their website where you can report problems. Like, so when we were on bikes, there were a couple of the pedestrian signals, the walk don't walk signs that were not working. And I put in a work order on their website, and anyone can do this. And like the next week, it was fixed.
Well, let's go into some questions then. Somebody asked, where's the worst place to work COP, which is community-oriented policing, and then where's the best? But none of us have actually worked it until now, with Fuzz going kind of to that part of it. So I don't really know. It's kind of all opinions, but I would suggest that maybe the problem areas would probably be the place that it's more enjoyable, because you're actually making a difference on the impact of the individuals in that community, whether it's the kids or people coming out for First Tuesday. That's just my thought process of it. Like, if I feel like if I was in a neighborhood where, you know, people are delivering milk and cookies to the police station every week, that my job as a COP officer wouldn't be as delightful, because I wouldn't see the difference I'm making.
Or pretty much the problems are different. I mean, you can see the difference in the problems. Like, say you got like First Tuesday at one area command, and their problem is that there isn't a spot for dogs at the park, and that's their problem. And then you have another area command where they all come in and they're talking about how drugs are being sold from this house on the street corner. Like the two differences of each area's problems. I mean, you can feel good about changing one and then kind of obligated about changing another.
Fuzz, anything for that one?
No, I don't really have a comment on that one. It's wherever your heart is, I guess. I mean, if your heart's in Northwest, you know, they're probably going to have a little bit more of the domestic violence type stuff. That's probably what their COP handles a little bit more of. I don't know. I've never worked there, but I don't know. It's just kind of, I've worked downtown pretty much my whole career. So we joke about, oh, I'm going to go somewhere else. And then it's like, but do I really want to go somewhere else? So
nope. It's like high schools. It's like, you know, Bolden Pride, D-Tech Pride, Northwest Pride. Everyone's proud of their area command, unless like you really like hate it and you're trying to get out. But for the most part, people are in where they're at because they want to be there.
Yeah.
What is the most heartbreaking thing right now in law enforcement?
Good cops leaving the job.
Yeah, I could see that.
Good cops leaving the job because of what's going on. People are trying to make a difference and change things, but the only thing they're doing is chasing away good cops that understand that the job is not a safe place for them or their family anymore. And that's as far into that as I'll go.
Yeah, same. I mean, I guess the desire to help people and then them just totally resenting you is probably a little bit hurtful too. Especially when it's like on a serious note. Cool, moving on.
As I said, that's as much as I'm saying on it.
I could get political. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped it beforehand. Boom.
Do you guys think community policing exists the same way it used to? And then so the actual comment is, let me read it really quick because it's kind of confusing. I'm not sure. It says, the actual comment says, community policing no longer exists the way it should for it to be successful. So that's why I changed it a little bit. Like, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think it exists the same way? Do you think it was a different way that was better than before?
It's hard to tell with the difference and like with the way that they're asking too. I mean, times have changed. Times are always going to change. So we always have to adapt to change to different things. And you can tell like the way that some people are with the newer generation versus the old generation of cops. Like it's, you know, some people are, you know, I came from this time. And then there's those of us that are new that we were raised to be cops as more of like a talker. Like we try to solve problems more at like a conversation level than like trying to just root out the evil. Like, you know, the problem before back in the day is like you see a problem, you take it to jail. Now it's like we have resources like, all right, what's the problem? What can we do to help rectify this problem? And then I guess it changes. It really does. That's the most I can put it in is that times change.
Yeah, me being young, and I don't know, when I was a kid, cops still went to schools and handed out stickers. So I can't really say because I'm so young, like how it was back in the day, you know. And it depends on how far back you want to go. Do you want to go back to the early 2000s when I was in like late 1990s, early 2000s when I was in elementary school? Or do you want to go back to when Roxas was in elementary school? you know,
Yeah, like
or earlier. Like, so I don't know.
that's just the difference that just 10 years could make.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, like knowing this person, it's probably more like we talked about as far as like on an individual level of when you speak to somebody or when you talk to somebody, when you go and hang out. Like I like to randomly stop and talk to people if I see something that maybe is a likeness or something in common.
Oh yeah, someone's got a T-shirt from a concert you've been to or
Yeah, or if
something.
like I'm at a stoplight and somebody has a nice car, like I have no problem turning off my motor and like, hey bro, nice car, like and talking to them about it. I think it's mainly more things like that where people need to understand that even though you're on the job, you're still interacting and every interaction is either a positive or negative interaction.
Yep. And you want to hope that most of all of them come out to be a positive, even if the situation is negative. Like I've had it where, you're taking someone to jail because of something, but you have a conversation with someone and they completely respect you. Like, you know what, man, I know what's going on. It's like, but I thank you for talking to me like a human being. Like, I mean, even though it's a bad situation, like you've still turned it into a positive situation.
And then the last question somebody asked is, do we think it's effective as far as community policing and having the community help, like things like community watch? I've never had an experience with a community watch type thing, but I do think, like we talked about with First Tuesdays, where the community actually gets involved and is part of everything, I do think that's effective.
Yeah, it depends, like the way you look at it. Like our program, see something see something, say something. Like it's one of those things. Like people are afraid to speak up with certain things, so they think, well, if I bring this up, someone's going to find out this and that. I was like, no, it's like if you've got a problem, it needs to be taken care of, and you can come to us with your problems, kind of thing. So I think it's effective.
Yeah, same. I think on the just kind of like the street cop level, we don't necessarily see its effectiveness, but I do think in the long run it's effective.
Yeah, that's just it. Unless you're going to like the same house over and over and over again and arresting someone over and over and over again for the same thing. A lot of the times you'll go to a house, it might be like a battery, domestic violence. You take someone to jail and then you never go to that house again. And we don't see the follow up where COP goes there the following week to make sure that everything's okay, to make sure everyone got the resources that they needed. They do the follow up game that we don't see.
Right, exactly.
That's all I've got. You Roxas? You got PSA? That's it. That's all I got.
I got a PSA.
What's your PSA?
That's it. All right. PSA for this week is we're not like TV shows. I like how I wrote on here, no, we're not going to dust that wet rock for Prince.
Dude, as soon as I read that, I was like,
yeah.
I totally know.
So I would say this PSA is just a reminder to the public that not everything you see on TV is real. Haha. Haha. It's not. Okay. People seem to think with a lot of the calls we go on that we can just pull fingerprints on everything. And one of the articles I was reading before this was talking about guns in particular. Like, guns have stippling on them. The trigger is only, a couple centimeters wide, so it's only a partial print anyways. And, a lot of them are not a flat surface you can take a fingerprint from. So one, you can't get a fingerprint from everything. Two, DNA does take a little bit of time to process. We're not going to take a scraping off of something, send it in the lab and get you results of who broke into your house next week. The stuff's going to go away for months and especially with what's important. And, someone prying your door open is probably not going to be the most important thing. But then other thing is that some crimes really aren't worth us calling a CSA agent out for like property crimes. Like, someone broke into your car. Yeah, it sucks. But the only reason that we're there is to take a report for insurance, get your money back for that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not really going to dust the whole car down for prints so that we can take the tweaker down the street that broke into your car and steal your change out of the ashtray to jail. So public service announcement. We're not like the TV shows.
And kind of like a caveat to that, which is kind of going off like the property crimes and such. When you guys have a super minor accident and this is the public. Like when the public has a super minor accident and I come out and I'm being courteous and you want to report, so I'm going to take a report for you. Don't start arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Like this is the most minor thing happening in the world, and you guys are about ready to throw hands. Like, nah, bro. Like, I will straight get on my bike and leave, and you guys can have the event number and file a station report because this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you argue like children because your night's going bad when there's people getting shot at or stabbed or killed. Like, come on. Like, I understand it's upsetting, it's irritating to have somebody strike your vehicle and leave a dust print, but don't sit here and argue and try to make things worse because it's going to end badly for everybody. That's my caveat to that.
It's like you guys could have been civil and just done an information
And
exchange.
I'm not even mad about taking the report. Like, it's super easy. It takes me like 10 minutes, especially on something like that, like cake, bro. Super easy.
Oh yeah.
Problem spending 15 minutes of my night plus the ride back to the station to type in the narrative. No problem. But don't start freaking out at each other because you're trying to put blame on each other. Like, it's pretty obvious to me what happened here. Therefore, that's what's going to go in my report. And you can tell your stories all you want, but don't start arguing. Like, it's not worth it. It's the stupidest thing just happened in your life right now, which sucks. But look at the big picture here.
Your insurance is going to go up. That's the big picture.
Yeah. And if you had decided not to take a report, your insurance probably wouldn't go up. And legit, it was like dust transfer. It wasn't even, there was not even a match, it was dust transfer. And I was like, you sure you want a report? He's like, yeah, I want one. Okay, but you know that it's going to get reported to your insurance, right? Well, yeah. Okay, all right. Here we go.
All right.
Have fun. But I wasn't at fault. Well, that doesn't always matter, but okay. Good to know. All right, Fuzz, are you good? Can we close this out or?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, I just wanted to check with you.
We declare it with him.
Well, he's going to like this statistic job and, going to be buddy with higher ups. So
Yep.
make sure you like give them the link to the podcast and such so they can check it out.
Just drop it in the packet of paperwork I give
Just
them.
randomly.
Dang. I'm getting business cards with the link on them.
All right, guys, we're going to close this out. I've got to go to work. I'm going to miss you guys. Check out Roxas and Fuzz on Instagram at Roxas89, ROXUS89, at Flyin' Fuzz, FLYN. Is that?
Yes.
And then FUZZ. And then myself, 2cops2, with a Twitch on Instagram. Everything's the same for Roxas. Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Everything's the same. Everything's basically the same for me as well. And then Fuzz just has Instagram. So other than that, guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for being part of this, and stay safe.